This is Terry Kurtz online reporting on Victor Valley, High Desert, and Mojave River Valley events, activities, entertainment, sports, and history. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear over anything 13, a reason airlines do not have a 13th row. Tall buildings often avoid a 13th story. Famous athletes who defied a negative connotation for that number include Wilt Chamberlain, NFL All-Pro Super Bowl quarterbacks Dan Marino and Kurt Warner, San Francisco 49ers rookie sensation Brock Purdy, and Major League Baseball's Alex Rodriguez when he joined the Yankees. Softball and baseball players are notorious for being superstitious or at least bound by rituals to ensure good fortune. Oak Hill's leadoff hitter, Holly Medina?
I would say before every game when we do our prayer, I have to write my number below my cross, kiss it, and wipe it goodbye. And then I also can't wear a certain pair of pants. So performance shows that reason too.
Hesperia Christian's Aiden Ortega wears number 13 for the Patriots, obviously undaunted by any concerns of bad luck associated with the number. Hesperia Christian hosts their CIF quarterfinals game on Friday the 13th. Among the most interesting local sports stories involving 13 was when Bell Game 13 was played on a Friday the 13th. That was 1981. Apple Valley won 13-0. The Sun Devils won another Bell game on a Friday the 13th in 2019. That score was 50-0. Friday the 13th Bell games have proven to be bad luck for the Jackrabbits. There is a second Friday the 13th in 2023. It's in October. You can bet the Jackrabbits hope that's not the date for the next Bell game. Apple Valley won the 53rd Battle for the Bell last season, 59-0. Good luck is in store for you when you see what's on Bid Fast and Last auction block this weekend. Bid Fast and Last world-class auctioneers sold on bringing you these Friday the 13th flashbacks. Bid online at bidfastandlast.com.
Ready to kick tires, start fires, kick ass, take names, and rock and roll.
Terry Kurtz Online was brought to you by Down Home Grill in Victorville. Call 760-241-4663 for delivery, drive-through, curbside, or pickup. Down Home Grill, corner of Bear Valley Road and Ridgecrest Road in Victorville. Bid Fast and Last, world-class auctioneers. Valu, quality truck bodies. Family-owned and operated locally since 1954. The Bradco Companies. Joseph W. Brady's Bradco Companies. The High Desert, Mojave River Valley's longest-standing commercial brokerage firm. We Got 'em Tees. Your headquarters for custom screen printing and mastercraft embroidery design. We Got 'em Tees. Silverwood. The developers of the Silverwood Master Planned Community support the events, youth activities, and programs of our High Desert, Mojave River Valley communities.
Serious legal problems? Don't go it alone. The other guys have attorneys just waiting to blow you away. Contact Iwanzek. Get the proper defense by going on the attack. Iwanzek Law Firm. Trial lawyers for serious problems.
And by the Community Table Restaurant in the Holiday Inn in Victorville. The Holiday Inn, Conference and Convention Center for the High Desert, and favored destination for travelers and visitors to the Victor Valley. Joseph W. Brady's first message of 2023 touches upon an unusual beginning of the new year and significant passings internationally and locally in 2022.
You know, I think when you think about the new year, it was kind of weird because Sunday was New Year's Day, so no college football, no parades. You know, I mean, that was kind of hard to digest. You know, I thought there were some good games yesterday. I was obviously disappointed that USC didn't play well. You know, twice they've gotten spanked, so obviously I think their defense kind of, you know, played the key. But you know, I think for those that saw the Cincinnati Buffalo game on Monday night, I don't think I've ever seen something like that, and hopefully I would never see it again. I don't think that anybody knew at the time that Mr. Hamlin had cardiac arrest. And so now I think if you put it back in retrospect, why the teams were so quiet, why they decided to go in the locker room, I think it was a great call. It was nice to see that the NFL, that the union with the NFL decided to call it. I think that everybody in America thought there's just no way you're going to play this game. And now knowing that it was cardiac arrest, I think really kind of made a lot of sense. The political side, I think that the Republicans have made an absolute bunch of asses out of themselves. I've been Republican. I'm really thinking about seriously registering as an independent. I haven't done that yet. So for those that are watching, don't go count your. I was struck when I had somebody from the San Bernardino County GOP this week correct me and tell me why I didn't get the endorsement. One of the reasons I didn't get the endorsement because I support Democrats. So I supported Barbara Dew, who is in the Victor Valley Union High School District. I mean, like forever. I've known her and Lionel. Everybody knows that they're Democrat. But, Terry, in the education business, if you sit on a park board, a school board, a water board, a cemetery board, people don't elect you because you're Republican, Democrat. They elect you because you're the both candidates. When I ran for Victor Valley Community College District this last time, I didn't say, well, Blanca Gomez was a Democrat and I was a Republican. People want to hire the best people possible. So I was really taken back when a local leader up here in the High Desert region, I'm going to keep her name out of this at this point, so that one of the reasons that I didn't get it was that they were able to, her and Dakota Higgins, so those that have watched prior can figure out who it was, that I supported Barbara Dew, which I would do all over again, and I had her signs all over the front of my house, the back of my house. I like Barbara. Barbara and I can argue about education, but the one thing we care about is student success, student outcomes, and having an educated community. Then I think the bigger surprise was this person that accused me of that my friend Chico Garza. You know Chico. I mean, everybody knows Chico on up here. Chico is, I call him my Hispanic brother. He had told me many, many years ago when him and Liliana had gotten together, best thing that ever happened for both of them, best thing that ever happened for him, that if something ever happened and they wanted somebody to take care of their kids, that they had nominated Deb and I to do that. It's like one of the highest compliments you can get. So for this person to tell me that he was a Democrat, okay, so hadn't talked to him in a couple of weeks. So I called him up on New Year's Eve and I said, hey, I understand you're a Democrat. He said, Joe, I'm an independent. Now here's a guy who has, so this is, I think, going to put a lot of egg on the face of a lot of people now at the GOP. I thought that, Phil Cawthorn has done a very poor job in his leadership. There are a lot of people down there that are very, very unhappy. I have met with a good number so far. I have people call me all the time. I'll be communicating what I need to at the appropriate time, and when I do, it'll be thorough. But when you have people do this at the Republican Party in a local standpoint, okay, after we helped create the Young Republicans 34 years ago and the Lincoln Club, blah, 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 what does it tell you about what's going on nationally? Whether Kevin has 3 votes or 4 votes or 5 votes, at the time that we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, he's had 3 votes. That sends a message that we are broken. And what I said to our great Congressman Jay Obernolte in a text this afternoon, this is not only going to cost the Republican Party, this is going to cost them in 2024. We've taken 5 steps back because you've got 15, 20, Republicans, and I understand everybody wants to hold their feet to the fire. I like to do the same thing when I was kind of involved in that. But I think that we've gone way too far. I think we've gone way too far on both sides. And so for my Democratic friends who are watching this, and I have a lot of them. So you take John R. Pinkerton, Sharon Pinkerton, great friends. I mean, he's like my brother. Okay, left-wing socialistic Democrat. I mean, I still love the guy. I mean, why? Because we learned how to work together. Okay, I think that's where this R designation and I think sometimes people are almost better to be an independent and be able to vote the way they want without having to deal. So I hope this year's going to be a great year. I'm expecting that it will. We heard from Brightline last week that they'll be filling out their application for their hopefully federal grant in March. I did see, because I get a periodical called Trains, which I just started to get. I should have gotten it back. We have a friend of ours, Nick DiCasolo, that works for Cole Banker, that it's a big train buff, and so is Linda Gommel. But I was reading in there recently that they had the feds had awarded $9 billion to the Northeast, in which we had been told this is how it's going to happen. The Northeast will go first, Amtrak will go, then monies will come out to California. So I really think that that's a real deal. You and I had talked about in last week's segment about infrastructure. Rumor has it that Dakota Higgins is not going to take over from where Paul Cook may have. So what the rumor is, so this stops the rumor, okay, by putting this out, that Paul Cook, who I can't seem to get on the phone or seem to get a meeting with, just absolutely crazy, our supervisor, who they say is never even around, was going to retire early, health issues, whatever, give it to Dakota. Dakota's never created a job, and then all of a sudden I heard that Smitty may run. So I reached out to Smitty last week and said, listen, we've had good times, bad times. Let's sit down and chit chat. So Smitty, I would tell you like I would tell anybody else. I'm at that age where I'm not looking for political favors, and I don't need political favors. But I think the one thing that we need to do is if we're going to support a supervisor for the first district, that they need to be somebody that has been in business, has created jobs, okay, has been sued. Okay, and until you've been sued, you really don't know what it's really like. And most importantly, I think that infrastructure needs to be one of the bigger issues. And Terry, we did that segment last week, and I'll give you the name of the book that we're going to put out. And most importantly, that they be a part of trying to figure out this Cajon Pass. There are, the last time the city of Hesperia did their analysis back when Lisa Lemire was here back in, I think it was 2007, they figured there are about 85,000 people that travel up and down that hill every single day. And it's getting worse, it's getting worse, it's getting worse. When Deb and I go down below more times to the desert for a couple of days, we just come through Yucca Valley. It takes 15 minutes longer. It's peaceful. You don't have these idiots that are driving up. So I really hope that whoever puts their name in for supervisor thinks about this infrastructure issue that we need to get, not talk about it, but really need to get it. And I think, kind of very similar to what the Republicans are going through. They want to have a platform where they can actually count on their leader to actually do something. So I think housing is going to come back. I don't think that housing is going to take the crap that people thought that it would. Some people believe it's going to bottom out by the second part of the second quarter. Industrial is still moving along. I think the one issue that the industrial developers are starting to run into is that there's not enough power. The BNSF project's still moving along. The brokers that we deal with are still as busy as they've ever been. So we ended up having a great year. Paul Casilla had a great year. I'm happy our staff had a good year. So I think things are good. I think that there are more things broken back in Washington, and that translates how people think about their future, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, if I was a Democrat, I'd be laughing all the way to the bank, going, these guys just can't get it right. So yeah, so.
A lot of significant passings of prominent people in 2022. Joseph, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, we lost the Queen. Deb and I happened to be over in Ireland when she passed, and we were over in Ireland when she was buried. So the morning that she was buried, all of us were flying out of Belfast City into Heathrow. And then through there, we ended up in Heathrow 10 minutes after her service started. But, Terry, again, this is the Sun newspaper. So I don't like to be morbid, but I do like to acknowledge those people that we all have heroes. We all have people we've looked up to. And how many times now on your phone do you see a name of somebody and the next thing you know, it says want to pass away? So these are people who were very prominent in 2022 that I want to acknowledge that somehow impacted my lives a little bit. Dan Reeves, football coach, 4 Super Bowls. He lost 4 Super Bowls. Sidney Poitier, 94 years old, first black actor to win an Oscar. I mean, the guy was a rock star. Meatloaf, 74 years old. Wow. Betty Davis. I mean, these are Bill Russell. Okay, so we can both relate as athletes, absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing: he was not a guy that you want to get in front of. I mean, he was absolutely determined. But the days of sitting down and on a Sunday morning, after church and watching the Lakers play the Celtics in the Garden on that parquet floor and watching Havlicek I mean, it was Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, and we had a couple players. We had Chamberlain, we had Chamberlain. They had Russell. So yeah, I mean, great guy. Sonny Barger, Ivana Trump, Tony Dow, Bill Russell again, Vin Scully, 94 years old. I mean, as a kid, I grew up listening to Vin Scully. I mean, I don't know about you, but as a kid, we would go to Dodger Stadium and everybody had a radio. It was kind of the Olivia Newton-John. What a gorgeous lady. Lynn Dawson. I mean, great for football. Loretta Lynn. 90 years old. I mean, Jerry Lee Lewis. John Aniston. I always called Jennifer Aniston my other girlfriend. So whenever she's on TV, Joe says, Joe, your other girlfriend's on TV. Kirstie Alley, Franco Harris, Barbara Walters, and our former Pope, Benedict. I'm sad about Barbara Walters. She really did a lot. I'll tell you one thing. When I watched some of the reruns of things that she did, man, did she have guts? She had guts. I mean, and I think that today these reporters have to be so politically correct in what they do and what they say. And then locally, I want to acknowledge a couple of people who really, we know well. And they lost Gwen Beddix with Alaska USA, lost her mom. Roberto Torres lost his sister Sandria. Sue and Rick Moore, mom and her mother-in-law Loretta. So Sue was with us forever doing our social media. Just a great lady. She just recently retired. Glenn Ludwig lost his wife Pearl. Derek King, his grandfather Bobby Newman Sr. Debbie Johannes, Jim Johannes. I don't know if you knew Jim. He was in the flooring business. When I came here, he was in, I think, the home building business. Michelle Nakata, she lost Eric. What a great guy and what a great job. John and Suzanne Maddox, they unfortunately lost their second son. Carlos Vizcaíno, Arthur Roop. So Arthur, we did work for. Arthur died, I think he was 104. He had the Roop Foundation in Santa Barbara. He was very famous. We did a bunch of work for him on land out here. Just a wonderful guy. He would send us old-fashioned letters. I mean, they came out and they were crisp. The letter was just crisp. His signature was crisp. And whenever he communicated, he was not a guy that wanted to do email. He'd pick up the phone and call you and tell you kind of what it is. Dennis and Martis Killian, Dennis Killian lost his dad. Carolyn Johnson, that she's with NBC down in LA. She is a really good friend of my mom's. My mom had a friend by the name of Winnie Parker, and Winnie and her mom, Carolyn's mom, she did say that Chuck Henry, she works with Chuck Henry, that Chuck is now retired, and if we can find the right the right nonprofit up here, that they may come up and help us. Charity and Gabriel Reyes. So Gabriel is the mayor out. He lost his mother-in-law and then her mom. Susan Porter lost her dad. Dwayne Moyers was Arizona Pipeline. Didn't know him well, but I mean, you drive around, you just see Arizona Pipeline everywhere. And it was kind of funny. When I read this story that the Daily Press did, the name Arizona came up. I guess he was down in Arizona when he had to file some papers. He didn't know what to call it, so he called Arizona Pipeline. I thought, well, that's pretty good. Robert and Jennifer Starbuck had a loss, and I know that John and Lavana Holterstrom lost their daughter. I'm just going through here. I mean, we just Tom Thompson, who does electrical work for us. His dad Dwayne was in the real estate business. Reed Kiplinger, who was well known up here. I think that you knew him. He passed away. Greg and me Miroff with Greg's Carpet lost their son. A guy who I would always look up to for information on the Marriott Vacation Club, Dale Colley, passed. Had a massive right in his house one day, and so and then Bruce and Michelle Painter. I mean, she lost her mom and her father this year, which was sad. I mean, you don't want to lose both of them. So, with that, I just want to say that we should all be lucky. When you see somebody, when you promise somebody that you're going to go do something, do it. One of my biggest regrets in life was my former neighbor, Lou and Florence Webb. They lived next door, and Louie, I promised him we'd play golf for all the years that he lived there, and I was always too busy. and all of a sudden Louis was gone one day. And the only memories I've got are his house and his nephew or his grandson Scott, who works at the city of Victorville. So when you say to somebody, I'm going to give you a call, I'm going to go out and have lunch, call them and go out and have lunch. You never know when that day is calling, and hopefully we'll have a lot less this year. I do want to give a little plug, Joe, and this is not a plug. I wouldn't be on the Victor Valley Community College Board of Trustees without the emphatic work and the 13 probably motions that Joe Range made with Lori Denson. And he unfortunately passed, and I believe that their services are going to be January 28th at Sunset Hills, so I would suggest taking a look at that. He was a real good guy. The student building that we built out, the one-stop center, that was really built with his urging and his pushing, and that's what it takes. So thanks.
Terry Kurtz here, throwing out an invitation for you to catch up with High Desert Sports Activity, your High Desert Sports Report, showing 3 times every day on Victor Valley TV, 7 and 11 every morning, 4 every afternoon. We hope you'll join us right here on Victor Valley TV.
So Terry, just a little minor plug. There's a lot of people that spend, a lot of money trying to get their name into the best of the best. I don't think it's worth it. What's funny is that Paul A. Casilla, who's a broker associate with us, he's been with us for 8 years, was nominated. You can't find out who nominates you. The Bradco Companies was nominated. We didn't ask anybody. Sue Moore was working for us at the time, and now Colleen Luque is working with us as social media. Not once do we ever say put one penny or whatever into this. There are some people, this is like their whole life. They go out and there's one company, I actually like the broker behind it, but I don't think that they're the top of the top of the top. But you know what, if that's important, great. So yeah, this is the 22. I get the Daily Press only because I need to. I love the San Bernardino Sun. The Daily Press has just become a pathetic newspaper, unfortunately. They're not even printing 4,000 on a Sunday. When I came here, Terry, was 40,000. Okay, I'm the only recipient of the Libertarian of the Year award, given when it was owned by Freedom Communications. So I've got a close connection. A little side note, I did write the chairman of Gannett, so it's owned by Gannett Newspapers, which, everybody knows Gannett by USA Today, which used to be a great paper. There's nothing in it anymore. The hotels that we travel, it's kind of there. You kind of glance through it. And he just wrote them and just said how disappointed we were with the coverage that we get out here, in the high desert, especially. We lost one of our partners, and a guy who built Just Ranch. He built the Kmart Center in Barstow. We sent this stuff to Renee De La Cruz. We sent it to Jim Ward. Nothing was ever put in the paper. And this is Mount Riley. He only built 10 million feet of space. And he was chairman of ICSC. But I want to give a big plug to Paul. So Paul was nominated, didn't know it. Came in and said, what do I do? I said, do what you want. He said, I'm not going to do anything. So he finished second. So what does that tell you? That he didn't do anything. He finished second. And then the Bradco Companies finished third. So we were honored to be, mentioned. But I think at the end of the day, it's your clients that most of our clients are out of area. So they're not going to get involved in something like this. So when I go to Prescott, I want to know who has the best ice cream, who has the best, what's the best Italian food. But when it comes to these, who's got the best massage or the best legal firm or whatever. So I'll tell you where the shock was. Chateau Chang is absolutely by far not only the best, I think, restaurant for dinner up here. If you want a really good meal, Jan Chen gives just a great job. She came in, I don't know, like third or something for romantic dining. That tells you how skewed the thing is. So God bless everybody. Paul, I'm really proud of you. And hopefully next year you make #1 because you got some great things going. And in 2 years you'll be here for 10 years and we'll give you the 10-year pen. No gold watch. So all good.
Joseph W. Brady addresses the issue of San Bernardino County secession.
Well, Terry, I think that I think the way that it was brought up, it was really spearheaded by Jeff Burham, who's a well-known multi-family housing developer, and actually single-family housing developer, but an affordable housing developer on down below. He's done very, very well. Jeff and I have met once. We have a very good mutual friend in Dan Richards. We have one of his former partners, Andy Wright. I haven't seen Andy for probably 25 years. Andy used to be the president of Kaufman and Broad, the I think Southern California division, years and years ago. One of my close friends, Tom Moffitt and Kelly Moffitt and Mike Moffitt. Mike knows, they go back to the days of the YPOs together. So Tom and I are really close friends. I've done business with Mike. I had suggested to Dan back, kind of the early part of the campaign season, that Jeff and I and him grab some lunch, talk about some perception issues. So there's perception issues that Jeff likes to buy politicians, and which is great. We're not going to do that up here in High Desert. So I just want to make that clear. I understand that we do have people that put themselves in the way of somebody. I admire him because he does what he says he's going to do. He proposed to the Board of Supervisors, I believe somewhere during the summer, that they put on the ballot, which the board supported, a measure which would allow us to secede from the state of California. So we're in San Bernardino. I mean, if you look at L.A. and San Francisco, San Bernardino City is like the third largest city within California. There's been numerous attempts to secede California from the Union a million times. But I think what Jeff was trying to prove, and I think that he did prove it, that with very little effort, he was able to get people to say, yeah, we're interested in the Board of Supervisors sitting down and talking to the state of California, whether it be with our assembly people, or our state senators, or our governor, or the finance director, or whoever, and saying we're not getting our fair share of dollars. You can clearly see it. I mean, I can see it up here as a business person who did the High Desert survey, and Cal State San Bernardino told me I'd get 2,000 response. I got 13,047. So Jeff, you and I are a lot alike. I don't take no very well, and but what did it tell us? Our number one issue up here was crime, and that's one of the big issues. We're not getting enough dollars for crime to prevent crime, and I think that we have a lot of other issues. We have the infrastructure issue that I've talked to you about. Where this portion of the county needs probably $2 to $3 billion in infrastructure right now for our roads and water and wastewater and all the things as we double, because we're going to double in the next 25 years. So I really applaud Jeff for doing this, and I encourage our Board of Supervisors. We have a new one in the 2nd District, took over for Janice Rutherford, that they really push it, that it not be a, I was doing some reading here a couple weeks ago, and some of my friends in the Democratic Party were saying they thought this was a political stunt. It wasn't. I mean, Jeff got enough votes over the top. I think it finished just shy of 51% to say to the state, hey, you better take it seriously because we're going to do something. So, Jeff, congrats. I think it's a great move.
Terry Kurtz Online was brought to you by Down Home Grill in Victorville. Call 760-241-4663 for delivery, drive-through, curbside, or pickup. Down Home Grill, corner of Bear Valley Road and Ridgecrest Road in Victorville. Bid fast and last. World-class auctioneers. Valu Quality Truck Bodies. Family owned and operated locally since 1954. The Bradco Companies. Joseph W. Brady's Bradco Companies. The High Desert Mojave River Valley's longest standing commercial brokerage firm. We Got 'em Tees. Your headquarters for custom screen printing and mastercraft embroidery design. We Got 'em Tees. Silverwood. The developers of the Silverwood Master Planned Community support the events, youth activities, and programs of our High Desert Mojave River Valley communities.
Serious legal problems? Don't go it alone. The other guys have attorneys just waiting to blow you away. Contact Iwanzek. Get the proper defense by going on the attack. Iwanzek Law Firm. Trial lawyers for serious problems.
And by the Community Table Restaurant and the Holiday Inn in Victorville. The Holiday Inn, Conference and Convention Center for the High Desert, and favored destination for travelers and visitors to the Victor Valley. That's a wrap on this edition of Terry Kurtz Online. On behalf of Victor Valley Television Productions, thank you for watching. We hope to see you again next time around.